Welcome in everyone to episode 113 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise. I am your host, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakey Muffins, here every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the next hour or so. We are going to catch up as far as we're getting close to the end of the year, the holidays, all that type of stuff here in 2025, and wrap up as far as the 2025 portion of the Instigators and the ABA. We've only got one more game for this year. Um, just a heads up, if it looks a little bit different this week as far as the setup and everything, and you probably seen I have a pen. My keyboard is not working, and the computer is touchscreen, so I don't have a mouse either that I can find. So the pen is my mouse, and it's also my keyboard, because it's letting me write instead of using the keyboard with it. So I'll be using that for tonight's episode and maybe for the foreseeable future. So just a heads up on that. And that's also why the angle is going to be different. And you'll probably see me going in and out sometimes, because I'm literally having to touch the screen to jump back and forth on some of these different screens that I'm going through. Um, but anyway, so we got the game tomorrow. It's our final game of 2025, final home game of 2025. It is an in-state game, or in-state rivalry, so to say. Not really rivalry, friendly rivalry, I guess you could say, between obviously ourselves and the Indiana Legends. We've played the Legends a ton of times as far as our first two seasons. This will be our first time playing them in this season. And the Legends have been pretty impressive to start off the season. So it'll be cool to see. I think this is the highest that they've been as far as the 3 seasons we've been there, to see how we compare to the Legends who have been ranked this season. So they're definitely a very competitive team, and they started off really hot. So it's a big game tomorrow. It is a home game, so Best Choice Fieldhouse, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Get your tickets, come out to the game, and we'll jump more into that too. But you'll see stuff on social as well. Just reminding you about the game tomorrow, and we do plan on streaming that as well. So I didn't check the weather actually. Now that I say that, we might as well jump into that whole thing. So the weather last week, I was up in Indiana, Indianapolis, that whole area, Fishers and whatnot. Um, and the weather was not very cooperative, I guess is a good way to put it. And it kind of threw a hitch in all of our plans. So last weekend, we were supposed to have motorsports night, a big night that we had planned. Um, okay, yeah, weather looks like it's going to be okay tomorrow. I don't see any snow, and it's around freezing. It's not anywhere near the zero that it was last week. It actually went into the negatives for a bit. But anyways, so yeah, last week, we were supposed to have the doubleheader against the Shuckers, so a home and away game. Which actually got swept to an away and a home game. So it was supposed to be Saturday night. We were supposed to have a road game against the Shuckers, and then come back on Sunday for a home game against the Shuckers. Weather just did not cooperate. And obviously here on Instigate Success, we're always upfront. We let you guys know the inside details and whatnot. But yeah, just weather did not cooperate, made it so that it was not something we want to make guys travel in. And both of our games, both of the teams, we decided that we had to postpone those games. Not only for the guys, the players, the coaches, everyone like that, but also for the fans. We want everybody to be safe. So we don't want to have anybody risking the travel to go out there in that weather. And I can tell you, going from Florida to Indiana, there's definitely a huge difference. So it's extremely cold for somebody like me. I was used to it for a bit, but this was my first time in that type of cold in a very long time, probably since college, if I'm being honest, thinking about it. Yeah, probably since college. Obviously Syracuse, it was colder there. I mean, than what it was this past weekend. But I mean, that's Syracuse. That's a little extreme too. So I had experiences there, obviously, where it was in the negatives, and we actually got more snow than what we had last week in Indiana. But wind chill and stuff, negative 30, negative 40 in Syracuse. But still, this past week in Indiana, it was in the negatives. The true temperature, I think, where I was, as far as the car reading, it was showing -3. Wind chill was down in the negative teens. So not something we want to make people, have to travel for. And then obviously you had the snow on top of that. You got to take into account as far as the roads you have to get plowed, and then, when it's that cold, you have the snow, but the more dangerous thing is the ice. So if you've ever driven in that, because I know we got viewers from all around the country, and actually all around the world. But if you're local, then obviously you know what I'm talking about. Um, but driving in the snow is kind of okay. Obviously, it helps when it's plowed. But with the ice, that's really the more dangerous thing. It's you can't really stop when you're on the black ice, kind of just slide and stuff. So that is always, the dangerous aspect when you're driving in those type of conditions. um just so for everybody, obviously all of us felt that it was best to keep everyone safe and postpone those games for this past weekend. Obviously, we had a lot on the table, so we would have loved and to have that game, both of the games. But especially that motorsports night game that we had been planning for a while now for this past Sunday. Um, so I will say we are working on getting that rescheduled. So once we have everything confirmed with rescheduling that, it may shift. It may be a different game as far as the motorsports night, but we are still planning on doing a motorsports night, and we do plan on having the same type of things happening as far as that goes. So the plan still is to have Brayton Laster as our celebrity player. So obviously we're arranging that, and obviously having racing themed stuff going on, motorsports, etc. Um, and actually, we have the posters. I went and made and printed out the posters that we were supposed to hand out on Sunday night. So we do have the posters around. If you guys have ideas for how we should give them out or what we should do, definitely hit us up. Or hit the team up, hit me up, let us know, because we still have 50 posters that we were planning on giving out to the first 50 fans for the event on Sunday. Um, I'm just spitballing ideas off the top of my head, but I would love, like, if maybe if some people hit us up and stuff and they got ideas with that. I feel like maybe for season ticket holders we can probably set some aside directly for them, and then obviously the remainder, um, then we can maybe do like a raffle or something for the holidays. That might be an idea. If you guys have ideas, again, shoot them our way. I'm definitely open to that. And it's a cool memorabilia item for Instigators fans, I feel like, because um, I went the route as far as the design goes. It was a new design. It was a little bit different than the designs that we had put out as far as on social media. It is a full, like, poster, like a legitimate poster size design. Um, so obviously you have to change that a little bit because the graphics we have out on social media are optimized for different aspect ratios and whatnot. And So it is a true poster designed for a poster size. And I also took the route of not choosing an evergreen option. I put the date, the time, all that type of stuff on there. So it's not like we can try to recycle these at the rescheduled event. And if we did, obviously, then it's gonna look a little weird. But yeah, so that, I think, is that's a memorabilia item, obviously, for Instigators fans. Yeah, I think that'll be a cool kind of giveaway. We can probably launch something for the holiday season. Now that I'm thinking about it, at least put some of them towards that. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool design. Obviously, we have everybody involved with it on there, and So that'll be cool. When we do get around to doing it again, I think I'm going to obviously reprint posters, and it's going to be a little bit different, because obviously I have to update some stuff on there. But I'll throw in a little sprinkle too to make it a little bit of a different design too. That way, if you are lucky enough to get one of the 50 on the original design, if you get the second design, it's also going to be different too, because I don't want you to have the same exact poster of two. It'll be two quite literally limited edition memorabilia items for those posters. So that is uh, that is something I think we got to look forward to. One of the other things I know we have been working on as far as the motorsports night, and maybe this is a little bit of a leak as far as I don't remember if we've fully discussed this before, but we're trying to get a show car out there too. So obviously, when you take into account the weather this past weekend, that is really off the table, because you got a trailer, a show car. So there's no way you're trailering that in the type of weather we had this past weekend. So hopefully, when we do get that rescheduled, it is something that we can do. Obviously, it's super cool, because then you get the photo opportunities. Seeing a race car in person is just it's a different experience. So it's always really cool. I think if we can get something like that arranged. So don't be too disappointed about this past weekend as far as things not happening with that, but we are definitely still on it's still on the table and in the works for motorsports night. We put a lot into that, so we are still definitely going full throttle towards a motorsports night at some point for this season, and very much the same as far as what we have planned with that. And actually, it'll give us maybe a little bit more time, and maybe we can do a little bit more stuff too, as far as like on the event itself, with getting everything themed, I guess you could say, for that night. um, but yeah, so that's this past weekend. Ultimately what happened, we weren't the only teams that had games get canceled. Obviously, a lot of other teams in the area also wound up rescheduling the games, postponing the games. So let's jump over to we'll jump over to the ABA site here, and look at the games that did occur this past weekend. And again, remember, I am using this nifty pen here to do everything tonight. So if it looks a little weird as far as what I'm doing, that is what I'm doing. I'm trying to pull stuff up using this pen. All right. So this past weekend, here you go, December 13th. Um, skimming through here, we'll just take a look at the teams that have relevance to ours, and then obviously around the league as far as some of the top higher ranked teams that we have seen. Um, we got a Chicago matchup here. Actually, very close game. You see there, Chicago Fury with a 1 point home victory over the Chicago Knights. So that's a really kind of surprising one. I feel like the Fury, it looks like have kind of taken a little bit of a step back this season. Still definitely one of the top teams. But as far as going undefeated the past 2 years, winning the championship 2 years in a row, they've gotten a couple of losses on their record this season. So I wonder. Let's see if we take a look and see if there is a breakdown. There is not a breakdown, so I'm not sure as far as if it was something that was close to all the way through, or if a team came back at the end. But it looks like the Fury they ultimately won the game with that, so they go to 6-2. The Knights fall to 4-3. And then you see down right under that, the Windy City Inferno and Indiana Legends game. That one also got postponed, obviously with the weather in the area in Indiana. Central PA Kings, again, that's my local original hometown team. 145 victory, 145, 140 victory over the Philly Uptown Ballers. Um, as far as other teams, we got the St. Louis Spirit with a 108-50 victory over the ABA Nationals. I think that puts the Spirit up to their first win actually. They are 1-6. It looks like after that game. Spirit though, it looks like they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys as far as the stats show here. And it looks like Robinson had 59 points on over 50% from the field with 10 rebounds. So double-double for him as well as Pruitt with a double-double. But 59 points, obviously, that's extremely impressive. Brings the Spirit up to 1-6. Buffalo Extreme, #1 team in the nation, 138, 124 victory over Saratoga. We've got the Binghamton Bulldogs fell to the Wyoming Valley Clutch, in a team that has consistently been ranked with the Bulldogs there. The Silicon Valley Panthers, always another team up towards the top there, 156-86 over the San Jose Knights. The Indiana Lions took on the Louisville Pros. That's an in-division game there. Lions won that 123-104, brings them up to 6-3 and drops the Pros down to 1-6. Indiana Legends looks like they were led by Jordan Heidelberg, 33 points, 10 assists there, double-double for him. Next on there, former Instigator Mike Pugh, 23 points, and solid effort across the stat sheet there too. It looks like they actually got a couple of former Instigators. You got Mike Pugh, and then it looks like Yogi Anderson as well, with 3 points up there. But yeah, so it'd be 2 former Instigators you see there, but pretty solid effort across the board for the team. Multiple guys there in double digits. Louisville Pros looks like only had 6 guys on the roster for this past game. Um, led by Southers there with 28 points as far as the scoring goes, with 12 rebounds, puts him at a double-double. Dominique Williams also up there as always, 25 points, 10 assists, and 7 steals. Always up there with the number of steals. But a little bit of a smaller roster, it looks like, for the Pros in that matchup. But that is an important division game there. Jumping over to Sunday, we've got the games here. So let's see if there's any. Obviously, our game there is the one that got postponed. But we do have the Missouri Capitals and the Nashville Aces. Aces jumped up to #2 in the nation after the win against the Ohio Kings just a couple of weeks back. That win, though, over the Capitals puts the Aces at 9-0. Capitals at 1-9 currently on the season. And skimming through here, looking at the Capitals, we actually see right there at the top a former Instigator, Venice Brown, V, the brother of the other former Instigator, Alex Brown, AB, his brother V. So cool to see guys around around the league still playing that have ties to the Instigator stuff. So, anyways, 9 points, 13 rebounds. So he led the team in rebounds, just 1 point short of a double-double. And as far as the leading scorer, we got Ray Clark, 38 points on the day with 10 rebounds, double-double there for him. Nashville Aces, if you've been watching the Aces this season, they have been extremely good. Obviously, the #2 team in the nation. I will say the one guy I normally see kind of stuff the stat sheet. I don't know if he kind of got limited as far as the playing time this week. Is normally Jamario Rivers, only 6 points though this past week for the big man. But you see there they got a bunch of players on this. Led the way by George Stanberry, 39 points. Actually, I mean that's kind of crazy if you look at how many shots he took. 8 for 21 on threes. So a lot of 3-point shots there. Also got Mike Wallace there, 23 points and 13 assists, or I'm sorry, 13 rebounds, double double on the day for him. Also over 20 is Marquand Tucker. Um, but you see there, obviously a well-rounded effort for the Aces, still at 9 and or still undefeated, brings them up to 9-0. Looking at this week, we've got and shout out to W, our official partnership. You can go to w.gg, use the code Apex Athletics for 10% off your order. But for jitterless energy to keep you up through the late nights, go to w.gg. But tomorrow we've got the Kings on the road against the Nashville Aces. So a rematch of that big matchup just a few weeks ago. Obviously, flipping the fields or courts, I guess, is the more proper term. Obviously with basketball, but flipping the courts as far as home and away teams. Nashville Aces, number 2 in the nation. Ohio Kings still ranked in that top 25. We'll pull up the power rankings after we take a look at the schedule and the stats or the stat leaders across the nation. So still ranked though, I will tell you that. So a ranked matchup and an important matchup as far as the division rankings, because we're going to take a look at the division standings too here in just a moment. And that's a big game as far as the division standings go. Indiana Lions on the road against the Steel City Yellow Jackets. That is also a game that's going to be important for our division as far as the rankings go. With the Lions currently, I believe, are the number 3 team in our division after this past week. Um, Not necessarily in our division, but Windy City Inferno against the Chicago Rebels, 2 teams we're familiar with, and they're in the same region, although not the same division as our team. And we do have some matchups coming up against Windy City Inferno, so I always try to keep an eye on the teams that we match up against. Louisville Pros take on the Missouri Capitals. That is an important one for our division as far as rankings go. The Pros currently behind us, but with some wins can catch back up, not too far behind. Clarksville Phoenix take on the Fury. Obviously, any game with the defending champions, I always kind of circle as well. Scrolling through, obviously our game there, the Indiana Legends are traveling to take on your Instigators tomorrow night at Best Choice Fieldhouse. I believe 7 p.m. is going to be tip. Knoxville Commerce, I believe that is a team in our division, if I'm not mistaken, actually take on the Lucky Ducks. So I think we'll be Lucky Duck fans tomorrow, even more so than we normally are. But I think I always shout them out. One of the cooler team names in the ABA. Syracuse taking on Buffalo. Buffalo number 1 team. And I think that's pretty much all the ones as far as implications with us. On Sunday, though, we do have the St. Louis Spirit also take on the Nashville Aces. So that is another one for the division rankings. Clarksville Phoenix and Windy City Inferno. I think that should be a good matchup there as well. As far as the rest of those, not much as far as implications within our team. So that's what we got coming up this weekend. And if we jump over, I think back to this. Yeah, back to here. We'll take a look at the division rankings. So right now, the Yellow Jackets are at 7-0. So definitely still the number 1 team in that division, even though the Hessa Bucket is still undefeated. There's 7 games to 2 games, obviously puts them out in front. Our division, this is where we break stuff down. So the Nashville Aces, 9-0, the number 2 team in the nation. They take on the Ohio Kings. So the Kings' only loss is against the Aces. If they're able to win this game tomorrow, that would make it so that they split the series. And then obviously at that point, that it comes down to final record at the end. Um, within that, because of standings. So the Kings got to play a few more games though to catch back up. Even if they did win this or win this game coming up, with 6-1 record currently. Aces though 9-0 leading the way. The Lions have been on a hot streak recent, and that puts them at 6-3. That jumps them up to the number 3 spot, or I guess keeps them in that 3 spot as far as the division standings go. The Legends, after a hot start, have had a few losses on the way. Now they're at 4-4, so still 500, still very much in the playoff hunt. And Clarksville Phoenix also right there at the 500 mark, 3-3. And obviously that's kind of the two of the teams that we kind of look at, where I feel like we know we're capable of competing with those teams, and we're right behind them. So we're at 2-3 with the Legends. Legends at 4-4. That is who we play tomorrow. So a game that is a big game as far as playoff implications, not only for us but for the Legends. They win that game, that puts them 2 games ahead of us. Um, Rather than if we win, then it puts us right there on the same level as the Legends. Shuckers at 2-5. They've still got a few wins on the season. Louisville Pros behind them by 1 game at 1-6. Knoxville Commerce still looking for their first win though. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm gonna skip down. Interested to see this. So the Lucky Ducks are also looking for their first win. So that game against the Commerce and the Lucky Ducks, somebody is going to get their first win, and I believe it is going to be the first win in franchise history for whoever does that. So that is a game, I think that will be interesting to see. Anyways, that's where we stand as far as the rankings in in our division, the Red Division Central Region, right now, into the season. If you jump over to the Black Division where we played last season, Windy City Inferno are actually out in front right now at 7-1, over the Chicago Fury, who have 2 losses, so 6-2. The other Chicago team, or one of the other Chicago teams, the Knights at 4-3. They just lost by 1 point to the Fury, and then the other 2 teams, the Rebels and Frost, still looking for their first wins. Central region in the white division, though, we've got 402 Elite leading the way. The only team with a winning record currently 4-2. The rest are still climbing their way up. Out in the east, we've got the undefeated New England Lightning leading the blue division. In the white division, we've got the number 1 Buffalo Extreme up top at 9-0. Wyoming Valley Clutch, also another ranked team, 7-0 undefeated. In Binghamton, we saw fell to 5-3. That ties them with the Philly Thunder now. In the black division out in the east, we got the Long Island Strong Arm at 7-1. Hartford Colts also with only 1 loss. The rest of the division trying to get over 500. In the red division out east, we've got the 96ers at 5-1, Delaware Dogs and Richmond Ram Chargers, both at 5-2, and the DC Crank, also above 500, 4-3, as well as the DC Senate. Scrolling to the south, if we go in the black division south region, got the Mississippi Silverbacks, a team that we have seen in the playoffs in the past few years, 8-0, still undefeated. Would imagine they're definitely in the rankings. And the only other teams with winning the records, the Tri-City Takeover at 5-1, and the Gulf Coast Gladiators at 5-3. The Austin Bats lead the way, with the Blue Division in the South at 8-0. Behind them by a few games is the Alamo City All Stars at 7-2. Winning records still for a few more teams, though. The Houston Red Storm, Texas Seraphin, both at 5-4. The Purple Kings at 4-1. In the red division out in the south, we've got the Chattanooga Strike At 8-0, I would imagine they probably find themselves in the rankings at this point. The Atlanta Defenders a game behind them at 8-1. Atlanta Aliens at 5-2. Skyhawks at 5-3, and Strong Steppers there at 500. Out in the White Division down south, it's the Florida teams. We got the Florida Tropic leading the way at 5-1, and the Royals behind them at 4-3. Out in the West, we've got in Division A Alpha, the Las Vegas Royals leading the way at 8-2. New Mexico Bull Snakes at 4-1. So I guess technically like the same, but not the same because they have less games played. But that's the two up front. Got the San Diego Mob at 8-0, and the other San Diego team at 7-1, the Suns. Another 7-win team though behind them is the Guy Levy Legends at 7-3, and Inland Empire Hounds also with a winning record in that division at 5-2. Division A in the Beta Conference in the West, we've got the San Jose teams, and the Wolfpack lead the way at 5-3 over the Knights, who are looking for their first win at 0-11. In Division B, out in the Beta region of the West, or Beta Conference in the West, is the SVP Silicon Valley Panthers at 8-0, leading the way in that division. So you see that. Let's look at our stat leaders across the league. We got Kenny Holmes Jr., 44 points a game. Believe that's going to be for the Steel City Yellow Jackets. That is for the Steel City Yellow Jackets. 64-point game, 25, 44, 43. And that is all shooting above 50% across the boards for threes, and then obviously 2-pointers, and then over 90 from the free throw line. So impressive effort there. 44. Also on Steel City, we got Dylan Cormier at 43 points per game, 67, 36, 49, and 20. 20 is really bringing him down there. He could definitely jump over that. Mook Bates for the Central PA Kings, not too far behind him at 49.4. He's got a bunch of games on the record, though. 54, 42, 37, 56, 24, 50, 26, and 54. Those two in the 20s are what's bringing that down just a little bit. And this is a guy I think we may have to watch for tomorrow's game is Mike Saunders Jr. For the Indiana Legends, their guard, he is one of the top scorers in the nation, 41 points per game. He has had over 30 in all the games, 38, 52, and 33. All the games that we have on here as far as the stats. Obviously, these are self-reported and not 100% at times as far as fully loaded with the stats that they should have for each game. But still up there as far as it goes across the board. Windy City Inferno are going to have Rodney Gaston Jr., St. Louis Spirit with Taryn Robinson, and Ohio Kings with Marlin Lions. Rebounds per game. Let's see if this guy's still just destroying everybody. He is. That's crazy. Pierre Walters for the Reidsville Reapers, just again destroying everybody on the boards. It looks like he actually brought his average down this past game. He brings it down to 22.5 per game. But you see there 22, 19, 27, 23, 23, 27, 24. The season low of 15. But a double-double in every game. And actually, so it's a season low, but it's also a season high for assists. That's 12 assists. That's a triple-double on the game with 20 points. So can't be mad at all with that. And shooting 100 from the field other than a free throw. He missed one free throw. We got Capri Austin for the Chicago Fury, somebody we've seen across the past few years leading the way with rebounding 20, 19, and 18, 19. That puts him at 19 per game. And actually, a teammate of the number one guy there, Reidsville Reapers, Justin Mans, 18.9. Chicago Fury also have another guy up there, Linnell Watson, 16.3. And Louisville Pros up there, 15.8 for Anthony Southers. Assists per game, we've got Cameron Moore up front at 14.4 for the Houston Red Storm. Very solid. 13, 15, 13, 13, 19, 11, and 17. So very solid effort across the board on the assists. Sharing the ball there. Christopher Cromartie, I'm sorry. 12. Mixing that up. 12.8. Dominique Williams for the Louisville Pros, who we've seen several times. 11.7. He's always up there, I feel like, for this. And then we'll see the other one that he's leading in for. The Nashville Aces with DJ Little up there, 10.3, over 10 per game for him. Central PA Kings also got a dude up there, 10.2. Shamar Overstreet as well with the Louisville Pros at 10 assists per game. Steals per game, though, we've got Dominique Williams leading the way at 7.5. And we take a look at his games just across the board, just about 30 points per game, 31 points per game, double digits in all those assists. Only one game without a double digit assists, 9, 17, 14, 10, 10, 10. And we got steals 5, 7, 7, 9, 10, and 7. Yes, that is a triple double. The last game that he had against against our team, the Instigators, 23, 12, and 10. But they, obviously we did get the win. So allowed to triple double, but yeah, we did get the win there. But anyways, he's always there up top as far as steals and assists per game. Next would be 7 per game, Antonio Hunt. And I think that's really it as far as teams in ours. But that's what we got as far as that goes for the games and the stats. I'm going to take a look over here with the power rankings now. Nope, that is the wrong screen. Again, I am using a pen here. It's this one. No, it is this one. Yes, it is going to be this one. Yeah, there we go. Top 25 power rankings. Buffalo Extreme and Austin Bats. Again, they're still tied for that number one spot. Buffalo Extreme, the OG of the number one teams, if you care about that, as far as that goes. But anyways, the Nashville Aces at number 2, obviously against that game against the Kings. That put them up there at that number 2 spot at 10-0 on the season. Silicon Valley Panthers at 8-0 on the season. They're number 3. Silverbacks, a team that is we've seen in the playoffs past few years. Mississippi Silverbacks at 7-0. Number 4, San Diego Mob at 5. Then we got the rest of our undefeated teams. The New England Lightning, 6. Chattanooga Strike, 7. Tied for 8 is the Wyoming Valley Clutch and Steel City Yellow Jackets, both 7-0, to round out the undefeated teams. Again, the ties are weird because it doesn't knock the teams as far as the next ones. So if you have a tie for first, there's still a number 2 team, not a 3 instead. But anyways, I guess the 2 PA area teams, they couldn't decide as far as which one to put above each other. We got a few one-loss teams there. Following Royals, the Las Vegas Royals, the top-ranked one-loss team, 9-1 at the number 9 spot. We see the Windy City Inferno at number 12. That is going to be a team we match up against a few times this year. Ohio Kings at 14. So the Aces and Kings 14 and number 2 matchup for tomorrow. Chicago Fury with 2 losses, the highest of the 2 loss teams at number 16. Indiana Lions are up to number 17. says 5-2, but I believe they thought they had 3 losses, but I could be mistaken. Maybe they only got 2 losses. 402 Elite up there for 5-2 as well. You got the Chicago Knights, who had that close game at 5-3. Binghamton Bulldogs wrap up the top 25 though. And actually, if you're looking at this, yeah, it is this week, the 12-24, or I'm sorry, 12-14, 12-14 top 25. So that's what you got as far as the power rankings for the ABA for this week. Extreme, I feel like are going to have to stay at that #1 spot unless something abnormal happens. Aces, though, are going to make a very strong argument for that #1 spot if they're able to go and sweep this series against the home and away series against the Kings, who are a #14 team in the nation. So that's what you got as far as that goes. Um, I feel like we should do a shout out. I know that's not necessarily, something we normally do, but I do feel like it's deserving of a shout out, even if it's not directly through us. But we do have a nice home page for the whole region, the whole division, I should say, the central region red division. Um, these guys, we've talked about them before, but they do an excellent job at everything they do. So I feel like they deserve this shout out. Minotaur Streaming, obviously they do stream a lot of these games within our division. But you see their website over here. If you haven't ever checked it out, it's minotaurstreaming.com. But you can see they got a pretty cool streamlined website. Obviously, we got our new website too, but you can go and they have a specific tab now. It is something new they just did for the ABA Central Region Red Division. It is the unofficial home of the ABA Central Region Red Division. So I feel like we should share that with our fans as well. If you don't already follow and keep up to date with Minotaur Streaming, who do an amazing job as far as their coverage on the Red Division, you can go over to their website. They have a dedicated page for it now. So they are focusing just on our region and our division specifically, but they are doing this again, not only for us as far as the teams, but for the fans too. I mean, this is a great spot to have everything kind of centralized in one spot. So this is the teams, and they've got the links right to the team pages. So you got, and it's alphabetical order. They made sure to specify that so nobody gets um, cranky, I should say. I guess about the way things go. But you got the Clarksville Phoenix, and again, you can click right on here for the links to their sites. You got obviously us, the Hoosier State Instigators. You can go over to our awesome new website, insigatorsbasketball.glide.page. Got the Indiana Legends, Indiana Lions, Shuckers, Knoxville Commerce, Louisville Pros, Nashville Aces, and the Ohio Kings. And it also kind of specifies as far as the pages that it's going to direct you to. So Phoenix is the Facebook, Instigators is going to be our website, Legends is the website, same with the Lions and the Shuckers. You go over to the Instagram for the Knoxville Commerce, Facebook on the Pros, as well as the Aces and Kings. They also got cool tags now on the website too. So if you just want to see Instigator stuff, you can click on that, and you'll see they have the unofficial division scores and rankings and standings and all that type of stuff. So you can always go on there too to kind of keep up with the division too. Just wanted to shout that out again. That's Minotaur Streaming, who does an amazing job as far as their coverage of the ABA Central Region Red Division. They also stream a bunch of the games in that specific division, our division. So just a shout out there, and a cool kind of resource in addition to my stats online portal and the ABA website. for our fans. So again, just wanted to give them a shout out to let you guys know on that. And we're almost wrapped up with tonight's episode. I think the only thing I want to throw one more thing on the screen here. Um, I think it's gonna show. We'll see. Hopefully it shows. No, okay. I almost clicked the wrong thing. It's gonna show all of my videos and stuff. This is the one video. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I don't have to go through the videos. It's just going to be this one video. I'm just gonna share that. So I believe this is showing. Yeah, it looks like it's showing. So this is just proof as far as this weekend, as far as the snow and the cold. So yeah, I mean that's just a quick video. It's not anything crazy. Um, I've been messing around and making a bunch of edits and whatnot. But that's not team related. But anyways, that was just I was testing out the new camera that I got. So that's what I was doing. Is I took a bunch of videos and was editing. You know what? Maybe we'll see if I got one more fun video. Um, I'm gonna be looking at these videos while talking. But yeah, I had some fun videos that I took of the snow and the cold this weekend. Obviously, down in Florida, you're not gonna run into that stuff. So have that. But there are some cool edits and stuff I feel like I did. Um, and I like the thing I particularly like about the camera that I have is the way it produces it is it's like an old school kind of feel, kind of the not VHS I would say, but more like the old school camcorder type feel as far as the aesthetics go. VHS obviously a little bit more grainy, but I feel like this is the old kind of camcorder feel, which is a little nostalgic. I feel like. Um, let's see. Okay, yeah, we'll share this one too. It's just a quick, fun video here of a snowplow. But yeah, no, that's it. But yeah, I mean, I've got more stuff, but that's all I'll share for right now. But first time I've seen a plow in a long time, or got stuck behind a plow. Obviously, you can't really pass them. But that particular plow was like not only plowing the road, he seemed to be plowing a little bit of the grass on the side. So doing just a little bit of yard work for everybody on the streets. I'm sure they very much appreciated that. Being from up north, obviously that is something that you do encounter, and the one thing that you hope doesn't happen is obviously when they're doing that, you don't want them to take out your mailbox. That's always the one thing that is you don't want to happen, because makes it so you can't get mail. It's just really really inconvenient. It's normally when it's snowing and it piles up like that, it's not the kind of weather you want to be outside trying to fix your mailbox or putting a new mailbox in. That's the one thing you always just have your fingers crossed, like, hey, you're going in the grass doing a little bit of yard work, don't take out the mailbox. But that's outside of the point. Just having some fun with making some light of the situation from this past week, obviously. But really nothing we could do in that type of weather. um, Extremely cold, windy, and snow, ice, etc. So again, we had to postpone that. As much as we wanted to do everything this weekend, especially with that motorsports night. We are still going to have motorsports night again. We're going to announce when we have everything finalized again, and rescheduled or moved to a different game. So again, that's all going to be put out there, hopefully in the near future. Um, maybe by the end of this year. I think that's what we're going to aim for. If not, early next year, for sure, because this is our last game on the schedule for this year, as far as I'm aware at this point. Definitely our last home game that I'm aware of. For again 2025, and then we jump into 2026, and then we jump right back into things. But we have the next weekend off, I believe, for the holidays. Um, so that's what we got. We got again the game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. At home, Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana. A great venue. You can basically have front row seats regardless of where you are, um, and all different angles. You can go all around the court. So it's it's a cool to. Oh, it's on my phone. You know what? Now that I say that, reminds me what I actually did wind up doing this past weekend, because our game did get canceled. Could say I did some scouting, and it's not really scouting. I went to the G League game, the Windy City Bulls against the Knoxville Boom, the obviously Pacers and the Bulls G League teams. But I sat right behind the Bulls bench, and if you follow G League, not a ton of people do, but Mac McClung is on the Bulls now, for the G League team, and he just kind of went off in that game, towards the end of it. He I don't know if he scored like 16 straight, something ridiculous. It seemed like he pretty much just got the ball in his hand at the end. They were down 12, and he came back and got them the lead, and then it got tied at the end. He drove down court, hit a three, basically as time expired. Just less than a second on the clock after that basket made, and that three won the game for the Bulls. So that was pretty cool to see. Um, but that's on my phone. I don't have that transferred, onto the computer, tablet, whatever you want to call this thing. Now that the keyboard does not work, but that was cool as well. And that's the type of experiences you can see at the Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana. Have that feeling of being right with the team, and having front row seats for the Hoosier State Instigator games. Again, tomorrow night is against the Indiana Legends. Again, bragging rights in the state of Indiana on the line for that. Also, big implications as far as the division standings go in the Central Region Red Division, and obviously that's going to have big implications for playoffs. But that's what we got coming up. Again, thank you for joining us this Friday night and every Friday night, wherever you are watching. Again, this has been Instigate Success Building an ABA Franchise, episode 113, your official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators. Thank you again to everybody who tunes in and catches us. But that's going to be it for tonight's episode. Until next time, as always, be great and instigate.